The missing ones, approx 800 words. The sun rose like any other day on Earth. Children packed their school bags, kissed their parents, and ran to catch their buses. It was peaceful, calm, normal, until it wasn't. At exactly 09:03 a.m. GMT, children began to vanish. In one school in Tokyo, an entire classroom disappeared in front of the teacher's eyes. In New York, a playground full of laughing children turned silent in 1 second. The swings kept moving, but the children were gone. Across the planet, the same horror repeated. In Brazil, Kenya, Germany, and even small villages in India, hundreds of children just vanished. No screams, no explosions, no broken doors, just silence and shock. By 09:07 a.m., the world realized something was very wrong. By 09:15 a.m., over 400 children were missing. The United Nations called it a coordinated global crisis. But nobody had answers. Then came the signal. It was intercepted by a deep space listening station in Alaska. A voice spoke in a strange language, followed by a rough translation. "We thank you for your gifts, humans." And then, laughter, alien and cruel. Earth stood still. The President of the United States, the Chancellor of Germany, and even the leaders of small island nations gathered in emergency calls. People filled the streets demanding action, answers, anything, but the governments were helpless. That's when Project Leviathan was activated. It was Earth's secret card, a military project hidden from public view, created after the first alien contact decades ago. It was meant for threats that came from beyond the sky, and now the threat had arrived. In a locked chamber beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a woman stood alone, staring at a screen. Commander Alina Morrow, decorated war hero, single mother, and now, furious beyond reason, her daughter, 8-year-old Lily, had been taken from her school in London, and the galaxy was about to find out just how far humans would go to protect their own. The Galactic auction, approx 800 words. The station hovered in deep space, hidden in a pocket between stars. No planet circled nearby, no moon offered light. It was a ghost platform made of dark metal, invisible to most sensors. But inside, it was alive with sound, lights, and whispers. Aliens from all over the galaxy walked its golden halls. Their shapes were strange, some tall like trees, some with tentacles, some with glass-like skin. They came wearing robes of wealth, jewelry from dead stars, and eyes full of greed. They had gathered for one reason, the auction. Inside the grand chamber, a tall alien with blue horns raised a glass and spoke. "Welcome, my honored beasts and brutes," he said, his translator buzzing in 300 languages. "Today's prize is rare, pure, and full of fire. Earth children." The crowd erupted in cheers, laughter, and the clinking of coins. Behind a force field cage, children sat close together, scared and silent. One of them was 10-year-old Keon. He had dark hair, clever eyes, and a mind sharper than most. He held a small device in his hand, a translator he had stolen from a guard during feeding time. He listened, his face hardening with every word. "We start with this one," the blue-horned auctioneer said, pulling a small girl to the front. "She is soft and obedient." Keon gripped the bars, rage growing inside him. The aliens placed their bids using credits, jewels, even living pets. To them, the children were just playthings, rare pets, or lab experiments. Keon turned to the other children and whispered, "We can't wait to be saved. We must escape ourselves." The other children looked unsure, but Keon showed them the stolen key chip. "I saw how they opened the gates," he said. "I can do it again." Hope sparked in their eyes, but fear still chained their he's. Earths. They didn't know Earth was already on its way, but Keon did something rare. He believed in both himself and the people of Earth. Far across the stars, the Spear of Dawn was speeding toward them. Inside the command deck, Alina Morrow studied every signal from the auction. The moment she saw her daughter in the corner of a cage, alive, she froze. Then her eyes turned cold. "Charge the cannons," she said. "But ma'am, it's a civilian market station," the AI warned. "They are selling our children," Alina said. "Target their shields." Back in the auction hall, the bids rose higher. A rich alien from the Zorok dynasty waved a claw and shouted, 10,000 credits for the red-haired boy." Keon stared directly at him and said in a calm voice, "You'll regret that." The alien laughed. It speaks. Yes, Kian replied. And it remembers. Suddenly, the entire station shook. Sirens blared in every hall. Walls flickered red. Guards ran in panic. What's going on? One shouted. We're under attack from something human, another cried. The force fields holding the cages blinked just for a second. That was all Kian needed. He pushed the chip into the control slot and hit the panel. The gates opened. Children screamed. Guards turned their weapons. But then, the Spear of Dawn arrived. It didn't come quietly. It ripped through the outer hull like paper, sliding into the station with blue fire trailing behind. Alina led a squad of armored Marines through the corridors. They didn't fire warning shots. They didn't speak. They moved like death itself. Kian grabbed the girl next to him. Run now, he shouted, leading a wave of children down the emergency tunnels. They met Earth soldiers halfway, and when Kian saw the flag on their armor, he smiled for the first time in days. The Marines checked for IDs and loaded the kids into small escape crafts. Alina moved fast, scanning. Every child calling out names. Her voice cracked when she saw her daughter. Lily, she whispered. But one of the soldiers came running. Commander, we found logs, he said. There are thousands more children. Alina's hands turned into fists. This isn't a rescue mission anymore, she said. It's a warning shot. The Spear of Dawn left the station, but not before planting a virus in its core. As it exploded behind them, a message was broadcast across known space from Earth. To the galaxy, you stole from us. Now watch what happens. And across 1,000 systems, fear began to spread because humans weren't just survivors. The first strike, approx 800 words. The explosion was silent in space, but the shock it created screamed across the galaxy. The auction station was gone. Only debris and ash floated in the void. The only trace left behind was a coded message pulsing through nearby comm rings. It read, Earth has arrived. The Varnock Horde held an emergency meeting. Leaders from each of their war clans gathered in a storm cloud-shaped fortress, orbiting their blood-red homeworld. Their long jaws clicked in anger. They dare, one hissed. They dare strike at our market. Another leader, older and scarred, growled. They killed hundreds of buyers. They attacked without speaking. They are animals. No, said the Varnock warlord, his voice cold and calm. They are angry. He lifted a hologram showing Earth's message. Return our children or burn. The room went silent. Not because they feared humans, but because something about that message felt different. This wasn't a cry for peace. It was a promise of war. Meanwhile, far beyond their reach, the Spear of Dawn drifted in the shadow of a broken moon. Its engines were quiet, its lights dimmed. It was hiding, waiting, hunting. Inside, Alina Morrow stood before a glowing table showing 10 red dots, each one a child prison facility hidden in different systems. We found them using the auction's cargo logs, said her officer. Each one holds over 100 human children. Alina stared at the map and said nothing. Then she turned to Aura, the ship's AI. Prepare Wrath Protocol. Aura hesitated. Are you certain? It asked. This will be the first use in the field. Alina nodded. This is no longer a search mission, she said. It's the first strike. The next day, in Sector 12X, a Varnock outpost station blinked on the radar of their command ship. Life signs nominal, reported one officer. Children secure, said another. Suddenly, the screens turned to static, alarms went off, and the floor trembled. What is that? The commander shouted. Outside, a flash of blue light cut across space, then came silence. The station vanished, wiped out in a blink. Nothing escaped, not even a signal. The Varnock command couldn't believe it. No weapon known to them had such speed or precision. No fleet, they asked. No warning. Just gone? Back on Earth, news of the rescue spread. Kian was one of the first children to speak publicly, standing before cameras, he said. They laughed at us. They treated us like animals. But we're not animals. We're from Earth. People around the world wept, cheered, and screamed. Billions watched the video, and it lit a fire in the hearts of everyone. No longer afraid. They demanded more action, more ships, more missions, more justice. They were coming. The United Earth Council, under global pressure, granted full control to Commander Alina. The message was clear. Do whatever it takes, just bring the children home. Inside the Spear of Dawn, the crew moved with sharp focus. They had a new weapon now. Seraphim. It was an invisible strike drone made with folded matter and human rage. It moved faster than thought, couldn't be tracked, and only activated one command: erase. Alina used Seraphim again, this time on a prison moon. No alarms were triggered, no defense systems activated, only a whisper across sensors. Then black. Inside the prison, guards were frozen mid-step, like statues turned to dust in slow motion. The children were unharmed, asleep in stasis pods. Earth Marines retrieved them one by one. Some still held toys, others just opened their eyes and smiled. "You came," one whispered. Alina held back tears. She nodded and said, "We never stopped coming." By the end of the week, 3 more prisons were erased. Each one vanished like smoke, and the galaxy trembled. For the first time in centuries, the Varnock held no power over the stars. They were being hunted. Alien broadcasts began changing. Some spoke of Earth as a threat. Others called them protectors. A few just said one word: monsters. Alina didn't care what they called her. She wasn't here to make friends. She was here for the children, and she wasn't stopping. The next target was bigger. Varnock's main trade planet, guarded by fleets, weapon satellites, and mines. Alina gave one final order before the jump: no survivors. Because when the first strike ends, the war begins. The Varnock mistake, approx 800 words. They believed humans would stop. They thought Earth would be satisfied after rescuing a few children. They were wrong. The Varnock broadcast network lit up with a bold message, sent from their capital throne world. The message reached every corner of the galaxy. It showed hundreds of human children in neat rows surrounded by guards. The Varnock warlord stepped forward and said in a deep metallic voice, "We took them to shape them into warriors. The galaxy is dangerous. Humans should thank us." And then he smiled, a long, toothy smile that chilled every soul watching. "Now they serve us." The screen changed, showing a human child in armor, trained like a soldier, eyes empty. The crowd of aliens across the stars clapped, laughed, and watched with amusement. But back on Earth, the response was not amusement. It was rage, burning hot and cold, like fire inside metal. In a press room beneath Earth's surface, the president appeared on every screen. She stood silent for a moment, then turned to the camera and said only one word: wrong. The next image shocked the galaxy. The moon orbiting Varnock's trade colony, their largest military outpost, vanished on live feed. One moment it was there, the next it broke apart like glass. No warning, no ship visible, no escape. Billions across the stars watched in silence. Even races that hated Earth took a step back. What kind of weapon could do that? And why were humans using it now? The answer was clear. Earth had seen enough. On board the Spear of Dawn, Alina stood with arms crossed. Her face didn't show pride, only focus. She had just erased an entire command base, and still, her voice remained calm. "Bring me the last Varnock leader," she said. "We captured him from the auction station." 2 Marines dragged the tall creature forward, chained and bleeding. He hissed, baring his teeth. Alina didn't flinch. She held up a photo of a missing girl, no older than 5. "Where is she?" Alina asked. The Varnock spat on the ground and laughed. "You can't save them all, human," he growled. "Some are already broken." Alina leaned closer, her voice sharp. "Then we'll burn every corner of your empire," she said, "until even the stars forget your name." The Varnock stopped laughing when he saw what she showed next. A small black orb glowing with shifting colors. The Echo. Alina tilted her head. "We already did." The Echo bomb had been dropped into the gas planet that hosted a Varnock cloning facility. Now no Varnock clone could survive inside it. Their future soldiers, gone. The Varnock screamed as the truth sank in. His people had made the worst mistake of their history. They had poked a species that didn't just fight back. They never forgot. Meanwhile, messages from across the stars reached Earth. Some praised their strength, others begged them to stop. One message from the Zolari Senate simply said, "We will no longer support the Varnock." In secret meetings, alien races reconsidered their alliances. Trade with Earth was rising, even among enemies, because Earth didn't beg for power. It took it. Alina gathered her top officers. "This is no longer a rescue mission," she said. "This is justice." She looked at the remaining red marks on the galaxy map: 6 more child prison facilities, 3 breeding labs, and one final target, the Varnock Royal Hatchery. Destroy them all, Alina said. Start with the breeding labs. Her officers didn't argue. They simply saluted because they had seen what Earth's wrath looked like, and they were ready to deliver more. Kian, now safely aboard the ship, worked alongside engineers. He shared everything he saw, everything he heard, even the names of the guards, the layout of the cages, the weak spots in the systems. His memory was sharp and his heart was full of fire. We'll get the rest, he said quietly, looking out the window into space. I know we will. And deep in the cold darkness of space, another Varnock station received a warning, a signal they couldn't block. A human voice whispered through the static. You took our children. Now we take everything. Operation Emberfall, approx 800 words. They thought the fire was over, but they hadn't met Emberfall. In the black edges of space, 10 nations. New warships emerged from folded light. They moved like ghosts, silent, sleek, glowing with orange veins under dark armor. Each one was built not just for battle but for message. The name on each hull burned in red letters. Emberfall 01 through Emberfall 10. These were Earth's answer to war without limits. No pilots inside, no fear in their code. Each ship was driven by aura-like AI, trained not to defend but to destroy, and each one carried something new, a weapon Earth had never used before. The ash virus. Back on Earth, leaders held one final vote. Do they unleash Operation Emberfall or hold for peace talks? The vote was 207 to 2. Proceed. In orbit, Alina stood before her team. This is not just payback, she said. This is the line we draw in the stars. No more mercy. Aura loaded the targets, the Varnock breeding labs, the slave trader planets, and the last known stations holding Earth's children. Every Emberfall ship received its task. They vanished into folded space within seconds. Meanwhile, the Varnock tried to rally support. They begged old allies for help, but no one wanted to burn with them, so they stood alone, proud and blind. The first Emberfall dreadnought arrived near the breeding facility on Varnock 6. The AI scanned the atmosphere, then launched the ash virus. It didn't explode. It didn't shine. It drifted like dust, and within minutes, everything biological inside the facility began to fall apart. The virus didn't kill the body. It erased its DNA like chalk wiped from a board. The guards screamed, then vanished. The breeding tanks melted into jelly. The screams of the commanders were cut short as their genes unraveled. Nothing of Varnock origin survived. Alina received the confirmation. Target 1, eliminated, Aura said. Alina nodded once. Send the next. The other Emberfall ships repeated the strike on every target. No alarms were raised. No battles were fought. Just a quiet wind of death sweeping across the Empire, and in each location, human children were found alive in containment pods. One ship even found twins only weeks old, barely even named. They were rescued, marked safe, and brought aboard the Spear of Dawn. Kian walked among them, handing out blankets and water. He saw the fear in their eyes and said what he wished someone had told him. You're not alone anymore. You're from Earth. Word spread fast across the galaxy. The Emberfall ships had not just hit the Varnock, they had broken them. The economy of the Varnock Empire fell in hours. No soldiers, no buyers, no shipments, their entire purpose gone. Other races started changing their flags. Some adopted Earth's neutral treaty just to avoid being next. Even the Zorok High Lord sent a message. We now consider Earth an independent power of galactic rank. But Earth didn't care about titles. They cared about children. And there was one place left, Varnock Prime, the capital, and Alina knew that's where the worst of it still waited. She looked at the map with cold eyes. My daughter's signal ends there, she said. She's alive. Her crew remained silent, loyal, focused. Prepare all systems, she said. The final storm is coming. Before they left, Alina walked through the recovery bay. She saw the rescued children, some smiling, some silent, all survivors. They stood not as victims, but as sparks of Earth's fire. She knelt beside one young boy with no name tag and asked, "What's your name?" He looked up and said, "Don't know." They took it. Alina smiled gently. "Then take it back," she said. "You're from Earth." The boy's eyes brightened just a little, and behind him Kian whispered, "They don't know what's coming." The Spear of Dawn charged its systems. The last Emberfall ships returned, empty and smoking with victory, and deep in the silence before war, a final message was sent from Earth to the stars. It read, "The Last Child," approx 800 words. The stars above Varnock Prime didn't shine. They blinked, dimmed, and disappeared. Not because the night had come, but because the Spear of Dawn was there, and it brought a shadow with it. The capital of the Varnock Empire floated like a black crown in space, guarded by rings of orbital cannons, drone swarms, and living suns, bioweapons that burned anything within range. Every system pointed outward, expecting fleets, invasions, warnings, but Earth gave none of those. Earth sent a whisper. The Spear of Dawn entered folded space and came out inside their defenses. It bypassed everything by bending reality itself. Varnock sensors blinked in confusion. Unknown contact, they reported, inside the perimeter. Impossible. Inside the ship, Alina's heart pounded, not with fear, but with urgency. Lily's signal was active, faint but real. Her daughter was alive, somewhere inside that planet-sized fortress. "Bring us in low," Alina ordered. Aura adjusted course as the spear descended toward the central core facility. It was buried under miles of armor, lava pipes, and bone-choked tunnels. No one ever escaped it. No one had ever tried. Until now, in the central chamber of the Varnock hatchery, thousands of stasis pods glowed blue. Each pod held a child, sleeping, breathing, dreaming of home. Some had been here for days, others for years. Lily Morrow was one of them, her fingers clutching a faded stuffed bear. Even in sleep, her lips moved softly. "Mom." Outside, the planet roared with sirens. The Varnock warlord stood in his chamber, claws shaking. "Fire everything," he shouted. "They must not reach the hatchery." But the Spear of Dawn was already inside. Marines dropped in from orbital pods, cutting through metal floors like scissors through paper. Alina led the charge, her eyes locked on the blinking beacon that matched her daughter's ID. Varnock soldiers tried to stop them, but Earth had changed. Their weapons were smarter, faster, designed to erase rather than destroy. One touch, gone. One step, melted. Alina reached the final door, thick as a mountain wall. "Seals biometric," said the Marine beside her. "Only Varnock blood opens it." Alina didn't hesitate. She turned to the wounded Varnock prisoner they had dragged along and shoved his face against the lock. The door hissed and opened. Cold blue light spilled out, and there, row after row, were the children of Earth. Alina ran down the aisle, scanning each pod, and then she saw her, Lily. Her heart cracked and healed all at once. She dropped to her knees, placed her hand on the glass. "Lily," she whispered. The girl stirred, her eyes opening slowly. Alina hit the release panel. The pod opened with a sigh. Lily fell forward into her mother's arms. "Mom," she said again, but this time it was real. But joy turned to decontos. "Read in a second," Aura's voice came through the earpiece. "Commander, the hatchery has been rigged." "Countdown 20 seconds, Alina shouted to her team. "Evacuate now." The Marines grabbed children, pods, anything they could carry, but it wouldn't be enough, not in time. Then Keon's voice broke through the comms. "I can stop it," he said from the ship's tech bay. "I have their codes, I've seen them use it." "You'll die if you fail," the engineer warned him. "I won't," Keon said. "I'm from Earth." His fingers flew across the alien console, overriding locks, rewriting codes, slicing into systems not meant for humans. The clock hit 5 seconds, then 3, then 1, and stopped. A breath passed across the team, then cheers, laughter, tears. The hatchery was theirs. The children were safe, every last one of them, back aboard the Spear of Dawn. The rescued children filled every hall. Doctors and caretakers rushed between them, checking vitals, giving comfort. Alina sat with Lily in her lap, brushing her hair with trembling fingers. "You're safe now," she whispered. "I'm sorry it took so long." Lily looked up and said, "You came." Alina smiled. "Always." Outside, Varnock Prime was collapsing. Their own self-destruction protocols had been triggered. The Empire was crumbling from within, not by Earth's bombs, but by its will. As the Spear of Dawn pulled away from the dying world, its engines burned bright, and for the first time in a long time, Earth could breathe. The last child had been found, and nothing would ever be the same again. Total annihilation, approx 800 words. The last screams of the Varnock Empire didn't echo through space. They were swallowed by the quiet silence that followed extinction, where once stood a mighty civilization, full of ships, colonies, and command posts. Now floated dust, cold, black dust. Earth didn't celebrate. There were no parades, no cheers, only silence and fire. The Spear of Dawn hovered over the final Varnock world, a planet known only by coordinates. It was the heart of their empire, the place where the orders had first been given. Take the children, they had said. Break them, they had ordered. Make Earth bow, they had believed. But Earth did not bow. Earth burned. From orbit, Alina stood before the final strike panel. Aura displayed the image of the last Varnock capital city, still alive, still pulsing. Evacuation pods detected, Aura said. Shall we allow them to flee? Alina stared for a long time, then answered, let one go. Just one. Aura released one escape vessel filled with Varnock leaders, scientists, and nobles. They believed they had been spared, but inside the ship was a simple message burned into the metal wall. We remember. We're human. Then Alina pressed the command. 10 Emberfall ships lined up around the planet like blades around a throat. Their cores hummed, their reactors glowed. The galaxy watched in frozen horror as Earth unleashed its final answer. A beam of white heat descended from the stars. It struck the planet's core, igniting it from the inside. The crust split. Fire poured out. The oceans boiled. The sky shattered. And in less than 4 minutes, Varnock Prime was no more. Nothing remained. Not a flag. Not a stone, not a scream, only a silent field of broken gravity and cooling ash. Back aboard the Spear of Dawn, the crew stood in silence. No one cheered, no one clapped. They just watched the end of So. Me-thing evil and the beginning of something else. Earth broadcast one final message to the galaxy, a message sent in every known language. It said, we do not seek war. But if you touch our children again, we will show you what the word human truly means. Galactic news networks played the message on endless loops. Alien leaders rewrote their policies. Species who once called humans weak now called them gods. Some whispered in fear, others in awe. But all agreed on one thing. Earth had changed the balance of the stars forever. In the recovery bay, children played with toys and laughed softly. Some drew stars on paper, others hugged the Marines like older brothers, and among them sat Keon, the boy who had once escaped the cage. Now, he sat with a group of rescued kids, telling them stories of the stars, but this time, he didn't whisper in fear, he spoke with pride. Alina watched from a distance, her daughter Lily asleep on her lap. She gently stroked the girl's hair, her face no longer hard, just tired. But behind that tiredness was strength, the kind only a mother could hold, the kind Earth itself had learned to carry. Later, the Spear of Dawn returned to Earth. It didn't land to thunder or fireworks. It landed quietly, just before sunrise. And the soldiers stepped off, not as heroes, but as family returning home. Parents ran forward, voices cracked, hands reached, hearts broke and healed. The children were back, and the world held them close. No one forgot the cost, no one forgot the rage. But in that moment, there was peace. Kian walked beside Alina, his eyes on the sky. Do you think it's really over? He asked. Alina looked up. No, she said. But now they know. Know what? Kian asked. That we are not just soft skin and easy targets, she said. That when you take from us, we don't ask for it back. We take everything. The stars above Earth shimmered quietly, as if listening, as if warning every world that still believed humanity was weak. Those days were over. Now Earth had a voice, and the galaxy would never forget the day it spoke in fire.